Hi, I'm John.
And I'm Amanda.
And we're the Ricos.
So now let's just tell you a little bit about us and our marriage, because most of you guys probably don't know us. And if you do, thank you for being along the journey with us, because it's been a good ride thus far. And so we've been married for
7 years.
Good, that was a quiz.
Yes, I win.
7 years. We've been together for approximately 10. What do you think when you started marriage with me? Like, what was your expectation of marriage?
So I think my expectation of marriage was probably the same as any other relationship prior to us being married. If you've been in more than one relationship in your life, you'll know that there's this 1, 2, 3, right? There's some level of attraction, there's some level of relatability, and then you have things in common. And then once you've checked all those boxes, it seems like this is the right person, right? And I think that was the expectation I had of our marriage. We hit all those 3 check marks. I felt like, okay, this will be every day for the rest of my life. But as some of you who are married may realize, is that there's more to marriage than just attraction. Mm-hmm. There's more to marriage than just the things that we have in common. And there's more to marriage than just going out on a date. There's so many days in between all those things called life. And sometimes life gets in the way of being married. And so I don't think that's what I expected when I got married. I did not expect what life was going to bring into our marriage, and I was not prepared.
So I would say the same thing as John said, is I think going into marriage, initially I thought it was going to be just like the fairy tales, really perfect, and not necessarily have all of the work that you need to put into it. And so before John and I got married, or even were in a relationship, I was already a single mother to my son Elijah. So John came into his life when he was 3. And so part of that was we had to learn how to be a family instantly. And so the first 2 years of marriage, I would say, was close to perfection, because it felt like a honeymoon. For me, the family of 2 finally became a complete whole family. And so we did all the fun family things, which was we went on little vacations at the beach. We had dinner at the table together when it was just myself and my son before. Now it was all of us together, and we were becoming a family, the family that I always dreamed of. And so I think year 3 for us in marriage was probably the hardest one. And that was the year that I didn't anticipate. I thought year 1 and 2 would be the years of our lives forever, and there would not necessarily be any work or any hard or heavy from there moving forward. But year 3 of our marriage was one of those years where John doesn't really like how we say this, but our marriage was on the rocks. And so it was tough. And so in that time, we were both in a very dark season. We both had transitioned into big corporate roles at our job. So there was a lot of stress.
I think year 3 is when we started to learn that there was more in our marriage that we brought into the relationship that we just didn't even realize.
Yeah.
I think that, when you're young, you think that you're complete. Yeah, you get to a point in your life where you think you know who you are, and you find somebody who you're in love with, and you learn as much as you can about them, and you think there's nothing left for you to learn about them. And so I think year 3 is when we took all that for granted. I learned that I was not complete. And when I mean complete, it means that I don't think that I had done everything I could to be the best version of myself. I think at some point Amanda learned that about herself as well. Mm-hmm. But with both of us in that season, I made bad decisions. Right? I began to resent my wife. She didn't fill the needs that I expected her to fill. I didn't know how to communicate those needs to her. The expectations that I had of her were unrealistic, but we weren't talking about those things. We're only focused on ourselves. Why do I feel this way? Why is this not the right for me? Why are we arguing about the blow dryer, right? Or the toothpaste, right? Or the dirty house or the laundry. We were focused on all those little things, right? And we were not as focused on each other. And we just didn't have the right things in place. And one of those things being God. I think that was probably one of the biggest gaps for me, is that we walked into marriage, and although we have a different background when it comes to our spiritual walks, we never talked about it. We just jumped right into marriage and thought that everything would just work out. There may be some of you that have done the same, where you love somebody so much that you think that love is enough. And love is a very powerful thing, but our love for each other is finite. What I've learned along the journey is that our love of God and God's love for us is infinite. And without that, this is not possible.